KTU Cares, a salute to local heroes.
What kind of world do you want? Think anything. History starts now.
On KTU Cares, good morning, and two great gentlemen on the line with us this morning, Todd Cohen and Kit Rudd. First of all, we'll welcome Todd. Todd is a PanCAN volunteer with the New Jersey Alliance, and also he's been volunteering with PanCAN since 2007. He lost his father to pancreatic cancer in 2002 after a one-year battle with the disease, and he's also team captain of PurpleStride, the New Jersey team Ranger Rick's Nature Walk. And thanks for coming on the show this morning with us, Todd.
I really appreciate you having us. Thank you so much.
Also, Kit Rudd is with us on the line. He is a pancreatic cancer survivor, currently undergoing treatment. He's also the team captain of PurpleStride, New York City team, cooking up a cure. Thanks for joining us, Kit.
Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be with you today, this morning.
And it's really, really great to have you both on the line. First of all, let's talk to Todd. And the main reason we're here on the show this morning on KTU Cares is talking about the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Tell us about PanCAN, Todd.
PanCAN was the first organization dedicated to fighting pancreatic cancer in a comprehensive way. For more than 2 decades, we've grown a nationwide movement tackling the disease from all angles. Our founder, Pamela Marquardt, lost her mom to pancreatic cancer in 1999. She looked around. There weren't many organizations out there doing much for pancreatic cancer and raising awareness and raising funding. So she kind of, and I like to say, carried that purple torch and kind of ignited this movement where there's so many volunteers from all over the country that take bold action to improve the lives of everyone impacted by pancreatic cancer. And they do it in a multifaceted way. They do it through advancing scientific research, building community, sharing knowledge, and advocating for patients. We can't change the trajectory, can't change what happened with my father, but we can change the fate of others. And that kind of drives me and many of the volunteers that I know and work with to change the course of this disease. And our goal is to end not only pancreatic cancer, but all cancers.
Why is PanCAN's work so important, Todd? And with that in mind, share with us some statistics about pancreatic cancer that we should know.
So when my father was diagnosed in 2001, the survival rate was about 5%. You think about that. You have 100 people in a room, 95 people aren't going to live more than 5 years. Since that point, the survival rate has climbed up to 13%. It's still not acceptable. We want to see that number change. But the issue is it's the world's toughest cancer. An estimated 66,440 Americans are going to be diagnosed this year, and over 51,000 are predicted to die from the disease this year. So it's the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States. Some of our goals include driving that survival rate, that 5-year survival rate, to 20% by 2030. Still not acceptable, but still it's a vast improvement from when my father was diagnosed over 2 decades ago. We also want to raise $80 million annually and really grow awareness about this disease. November is our Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. We urge people to wear purple then, but we make fundraising, raising awareness a year-round thing, and we're trying to do that through PurpleStride and other local events from volunteers throughout the country.
Todd, give us a way that our listeners can find more information. We're certainly talking about so many different things today. People are getting a lot of education from Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Where can they go if they'd like to get more information?
So a great question. What I would urge you to do, if you know someone who's fighting pancreatic cancer, or you know somebody that's involved, or you want to volunteer, the website we have is PanCAN, PanCAN.org. You can go on that website. There are so many valuable resources, ways you can give money. There's information about clinical trials, and I'm sure Kit will talk about that later on. We also have a toll-free number where you can reach out and get more information, 877-573-9971. But once again, PanCAN.org is really the best way to find out more information of what you can do nationally, and change the course of this disease.
Todd, how long have you been involved with PanCAN?
So my father passed away in 2002. I learned about a local affiliate that was starting. It was actually the Overlook Hospital in Summit back in 2007. So it was an interest meeting. I attended that meeting, and I really felt like I belonged. I really felt like this was a great way for me to take – there's that old saying, you could take lemons and make lemonade, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take something terrible that happened in my life and help out others. So I started in 2007. Since then, I've met so many others who've lost loved ones, as well as some good friends that have survived this disease, like Kit, who are symbols of hope. And they continue fighting this disease valiantly and also raising awareness. I think it's so important that if you have a loved one or you are fighting pancreatic cancer, that you are helping to raise awareness for this disease so we can see an end to it.
And we are going to move on to Kit in just a few so that he can give his knowledge, obviously, and information to our listeners. But before we do, one more question for you, Todd. Why is the disease so difficult to treat?
So the symptoms of pancreatic cancer, they're often very vague. And they can include things like abdominal or mid-back pain, things that we go through on a regular basis. You might do some lifting, but there's also usually other things that kind of arise: unexplained weight loss, jaundice, loss of appetite, indigestion, changes in stool, and also new onset diabetes. My dad had back pain. He had jaundice, the yellowing of the eyes. Those kind of got him to go to the doctor. He got a biopsy, and at that point, he was diagnosed. In addition, pancreatic cancer is just so resistant to many standard therapies, particularly because the tumors are surrounded by connective tissue, making it very difficult for treatments to reach the cancer. The analogy that we like to use is consider it like a watermelon, and that rind of the watermelon, it's the hard part of the watermelon that's hard to get to the actual tumor. So we're always looking for new treatment options to fight this disease more directly. And that's why many times when you are diagnosed, it spread somewhere else. In my father's case, it was the liver, and at that point, it was very, very difficult to treat.
Let's now move on to Kit. You are a survivor of pancreatic cancer. Kit, can you share what it's like to be a survivor?
So I wanted to mention that I'm also, this is the second time that our family's been affected by pancreatic cancer. My mother-in-law, Dorothy Peed, passed away from pancreatic cancer December of 2013, just 11 days after diagnosis. And so, sadly, we've become very knowledgeable about the difficulty in diagnosing and treating this disease. But now, as I feel I'm uniquely suited to talk a little bit about what it's like to from the survivor's perspective. I think the first thing that I would share with your listeners is to if you happen to be diagnosed with this disease, or if you have a loved one that's been diagnosed, allow yourself to process the diagnosis. Just the concept. I really liken it to, I guess I'd call it shock and awe. I mean, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to hear this news, but allow yourself time to process that and move on to the next stage. And as far as the next stage goes, I think what the advice I would give to your listeners would be: don't panic, and also don't obsess so much over the statistics. As Todd said, the statistics for pancreatic cancer survivability they're pretty tough, admittedly. But each patient is unique, and we're not defined by our statistics. We're each unique, and our outcome in this journey with this disease is really a result of our physical, our mental, and our spiritual health, as well as genetics. So we can't do anything about our genetics, true, but we can certainly affect our outcome based on how we prepare ourselves physically, spiritually, mentally. So that would be my second piece of advice. And finally, and I think this is really, really important, find the best treatment you can, preferably at a high-volume cancer facility that specializes in pancreatic cancer. As Todd told you, the disease is very, very difficult to treat, so you want the very, very best treatment that you can get. And PanCAN is uniquely suited to help you find those resources.
Kit, what are some of the risk factors of the disease?
Sure. Risk factors for pancreatic cancer are similar to many other cancers, but let me enumerate them. Diet, so diets high in fat, red meat consumption, excessive alcohol consumption, obesity, and smoking. Smoking is a very high risk factor. And in addition to the genetic predispositions that we discussed.
On KTU Cares this morning, great show and two great gentlemen with us, Todd Cohen and Kit Rudd. They are representing the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. They've got a big event coming up later on in the month. We'll get to that in a second. But we want to stay with you, Kit. But before we do that, Todd, again, if people want any information on what we're talking about today, the very important points we're talking about, if they need more info, where can they go?
So you can go to the PanCAN website, pancan.org, and like I mentioned, there's tons of resources on there, clinical trials. If you're interested in, if you're recently diagnosed, that would be the best path I would consider. Obviously, going to a local doctor, but also looking at clinical trials. This is the most up-to-date research that's out there, and seeing what information is available about diet, nutrition. It could make the difference in your course of action after getting diagnosed.
Kit, if someone is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, what would you say the first 2 or 3 things they should be doing?
Well, in addition to what I told you before, I would just say, really, I think that my best advice would be to focus on the things that you can affect, and be at peace with the things you can't. So like I said, in addition to the outreach for superior medical treatment, I would say if you feel comfortable, tell your story, share it with people that are close to you. One of the things that has helped me so much is actually being open about this diagnosis and just sharing it with others. I had people that reached out to me that I hadn't spoken to in 40 years, and they turned out to be incredibly, just incredible resources, and sources of support and inspiration. Other patients have come to me and asked for advice, or just wanted to have a sympathetic ear, somebody to talk to, and that has helped me out so much. So I just think that being open as much as you can would be the best advice that I could share.
And just to jump in,
sure, Todd, go ahead.
You look at Alex Trebek and Patrick Swayze, two very well-known people who are out there. They fought the disease, but they shared their story while they were alive. And I think that went a long way into not only raising awareness for pancreatic cancer, but helping to find a cure, because you had such a great fan base for both of them. I mean, I used to watch Jeopardy all the time when I was a kid, and when you heard about that diagnosis, you always hope for the best. You hope there are people like Kit out there who are survivors and will continue to fight. But it's good to hear that other people are going through this, and they're helping to raise awareness. And I think that's so vital in this fight for pancreatic cancer.
Todd, let's next talk about PurpleStride. We're definitely supporting it as a media sponsor this year, both the New York City and New Jersey events. Tell our listeners a little bit about what PurpleStride is.
And we are so grateful for KTU and iHeartRadio for helping as media sponsors this year. This is a great relationship. PurpleStride is one of our signature fundraising events to help PanCAN's vision to create a world in which all pancreatic cancer patients will thrive. So the funds raised through PurpleStride help us with that mission. We like to call it's the Walk to End Pancreatic Cancer. There are 2 events. They are both taking place on Saturday, April 27th. Take out your calendars, mark them down now. The New Jersey event is in Parsippany at the GAF headquarters. It's at 1 Campus Drive in Parsippany. The Village opens up at 8 a.m. The opening ceremony is at 9 a.m. And the New York event will take place at the Seaport District. That's at 89 South Street in New York City. The Village opens at 9 a.m. The opening ceremony is set at 10 a.m. Both events can be accessed through PurpleStride.org. You can go to either New York or New Jersey. If you haven't been to a PurpleStride event, you really, really need to go. It is just an amazing outpouring of support for survivors. It's a great way to remember people who have been lost to this disease. It's basically a sea of purple. I'm not going to say it's like a Barney convention or anything like that, but you see all these people coming together for really the same mission, and that's to end pancreatic cancer as we know it. So if you can make it out on Saturday 27th, you can join thousands of other people who are really there for the same mission.
How can someone register for PurpleStride, and where can people join a PurpleStride walk in our area?
So to register for the event, you can go to either purplestride.org/NJ or purplestride.org/NYC. From there, you can choose to walk as an individual, or you can start a team with friends or family. You can also volunteer at PurpleStride. We always need volunteers to help these events to run smoothly. The great thing is registration is free. So if you raise $50, you can get an event T-shirt. Anyone who raises $1,000 gets a really nice Grand Cup Club hooded sweatshirt. My wife loves it so much that now she stole it from me. She wears it all the time around the house. It's very comfortable. Between the two events, our goal is to raise nearly $1.4 million for PanCAN. It's a lot of money, but we have such a great base of volunteers that I know we're going to do it this year, and we're going to continue to fight this mission to end pancreatic cancer.
So, Kit, now is a very fun part of the show. The PurpleStride team names are a big thing. People like to show who they are honoring or fighting for in a fun and creative way. Let's talk about the meaning of team names, and then I'll go to yours also, Todd. So, Kit, Cooking Up a Cure, huh?
Team Cooking Up a Cure was named really in honor of my mother-in-law, Dorothy Pede, who I mentioned a little earlier. She passed away from pancreatic cancer in December of 2013, just 11 days after her diagnosis. And after she passed, my wife and I were thinking about how we wanted to honor her memory, and so we started raising funds for various pancreatic cancer-based charities in the Richmond, Virginia area, which is where I live. And we did it by cooking and chili cook-offs. We're avid chili cooks. We're also barbecue cooks. And so we spent the better part of a decade of this, from 2013 until my diagnosis in 2022, raising money in honor of my mother-in-law, Dorothy. And so the folks that work together with us to raise funds were mostly cooks. So when I was diagnosed and I got involved with PanCAN, we created our team. It just seemed like a natural name, Cooking Up a Cure, because we've been cooking up a cure with our chili cooks and barbecue cooks for a decade. And many of our team members that are going to be joining us here in New York City from across the country. I have folks coming from Texas. I have folks coming from Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and I think maybe one other state that I can't think of. But we've all come together in honor of Dorothy, and our love of food, and our shared desire to end pancreatic cancer.
Great story, great story. And now to Todd. You're the team captain of PurpleStride, New Jersey team Ranger Rick's Nature Walk. Tell us the story behind that.
And Kit, if any of your friends don't want to come to that New York walk, they can definitely come to New Jersey. I need more people on my team, so please don't hesitate to send them
so
over.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah. So my team named Ranger Rick's Nature Walk. Ever since I was 3 years old, my dad worked at a camp in Warren, New Jersey called Camp Harmony, and he used to take us on nature walks. He was the nature head. They used to call him Ranger Rick. He had a hat. He had a shtick. It was like a long wooden stick that he would walk around with. And when we started PurpleStride about 15 years ago, I heard there would be a 5K walk, and I automatically made the connection between my dad's nature walk, where he would teach us about the environment, teach us about plants and how we could help the environment. And I immediately signed up as the Ranger Rick's Nature Walk as a way to kind of remember and honor him. We've been doing this for 15 years. So I still love to make that connection. It's just a reminder to myself and to other people on this team who we were fighting for and about his memory. And it's clicked, and it's something I've always kept for the last 15 years.
Todd Cohen and Kit Rudd, my guests this morning on KTU Cares. We're talking about a great event coming up on April 27th, and, of course, about the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. And if people want information on either one of the two things that we just talked about, Todd, where can they go?
So if you want to learn more about PurpleStride New Jersey, go to purplestride.org/NJ or purplestride.org/NYC. If you go to purplestride.org, you can see all of the events from throughout the country. There are a bunch of events that are going on nationally, all on that same day, Saturday, April 27th. It's really a great way to make a connection all over the United States and to raise some very important funds for a very important cause.
And, you know, Todd, all the funds raised through PurpleStride go toward PanCAN's mission, as you know. And what are a few things that PanCAN is working on that you can share with us?
So like I mentioned, they do work towards PanCAN's mission about creating better outcomes. Specifically, some of the major outcomes are in the patient services department, and that provides resources and support to patients and their families on anything related to a pancreatic cancer diagnosis. And all of the resources are completely free of charge. So the funds go towards research. PanCAN invests millions of dollars every year in research. This past year, we invested $32 million. This is both for research for better treatment methods as well as an early detection method. I've been hoping for years there could be an easy blood test where you can determine whether you have pancreatic cancer. With breast cancer has mammograms, something easy like that, so it's not too late by the time the diagnosis comes. So like we've talked about, the survival rate does go up substantially when it's detected earlier and it's diagnosed at an earlier stage.
Hope is extremely important. We obviously have hope all throughout our day. Believe, hope, any kind of words of positivity that anyone wants to use. I'm going to ask this question to both Todd and Kit. Todd, first, what is something that gives you hope?
So just talking to Kit, that gives me hope. I don't get to see many survivors. We've had survivors in our group. There are still some people who are fighting valiant battles 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years. But then we have some other people who join our group, fight valiantly, and they lose their battles. So when I see the survival rate improve, that gives me hope. We can't bring back my dad. We can't bring back all the friends that I've lost to this disease, but we can use the momentum we have and hope for a cure for pancreatic cancer through events like PurpleStride. There were a couple of years we weren't in person for PurpleStride. Now we are. We get to see all these people. It's just so breathtaking when you go to a PurpleStride event and you could see all these people that are there for the same mission.
Kit, same question.
Okay. Yep. Well, I think that Todd gave a great response, and I agree with everything he said. I would add from the perspective of a survivor that I have just been so heartened by being able to meet other survivors, not just survivors, but thrivers, people who are living with this disease and living well, and talking to caregivers and friends and family and loved ones of other people, and just sharing our stories and just being able to know that you're not alone. That's what gives me hope. And I'll tell you one other thing too. You know, Todd talked about the sea of purple, and we see purple at PurpleStride. You know, if you go to when you go to PurpleStride, you'll see an ocean of purple, and a little tiny island of white. The island of white are the survivors. Survivors wear white. Supporters, caregivers, friends, family, loved ones wear purple. You know, I'm really, really sure that in a couple of years, it's going to be an ocean of white taking over that ocean of purple. And then pretty soon it's going to be all white, and we're going to put ourselves out of business.
I love that. That is great. For both Kit and Todd, I do want to ask one last question. As a pancreatic cancer survivor, any words to anyone who wants to get involved with PanCAN and fight back?
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing this is just my personal feeling. I look at my experience with pancreatic cancer as not really a fight or a battle, but more of a journey. I'm going to sound a little crazy here, but I'm just going to say it. I look at this diagnosis as a blessing. I have met so many incredible people. I've had so many incredible experiences here in New York City, this is not my home, but it's really now my second home. Just meeting incredible people, seeing sights, having experiences that I would never have had but for this diagnosis. And I'm not saying, and so I would just say that my advice to people is that don't wait for something like this to make changes in your life and look at and look at the good things in life. Just do your best to think positive and look for the good things in life. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just grateful for the journey, and I'm just grateful for the time that I've been granted, and I'm just going to continue to do everything I can to help other people not have to deal with this ever again.
As we wrap up with Kit first, then Todd, Kit Rudd, thanks so much for joining us this morning on KTU Cares. You are a pancreatic cancer survivor currently undergoing treatment, and you're the team captain of PurpleStride New York City team, cooking up a cure. Any closing words that you'd like to wrap up with our listeners today, Kit?
No, just to say that I would encourage you to reach out through PanCAN and participate with us in PurpleStride, and just please do what you can to help us have a world without pancreatic cancer.
Perfect. And Todd Cohen, our guest also this morning on KTU Cares, is a PanCAN volunteer with the New Jersey affiliate, has been volunteering with PanCAN since 2007, lost his father to pancreatic cancer in 2002 after a one-year battle with the disease. And Todd is also team captain of PurpleStride, New Jersey team Ranger Rick's Nature Walk. Any closing words or anything you'd like to tell us before we go this morning, Todd?
Yeah, we are on Twitter if anybody is interested. The New York City affiliate is at PanCAN NYC. The New Jersey affiliate is at PanCAN NY. We're also on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/groups/PanCAN.New or PanCAN.New Jersey. You can also type in New Jersey Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Same thing for New York. New York Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. It's a great way to find out what the affiliates are doing and get more information. And obviously the event, Saturday, April 27th at Parsippany. If you want to join PurpleStride New Jersey, the New York event is going to be at the Seaport District, 89 South Street, New York City. Definitely come by. If you know somebody fighting pancreatic cancer, it's a really great way to build spirits and, help others continue this fight. And before I go, I really just want to thank KTU and iHeartRadio for signing on as a media sponsor. It means so much, not only to the volunteers, but also the survivors and anyone affected by pancreatic cancer. Every little bit of awareness is one step closer to finding a cure for pancreatic cancer. So thank you very much.
Our pleasure, Todd, and thanks again, Kit. So Todd Cohen and Kit Rudd, my guests this morning on KTU Cares, representing Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Best wishes on April 27th, and thank you both gentlemen for joining us on KTU Cares this morning.
All right, thank you
so much.